Here we go, episode 144 of the Daily Puck Drop, hashtag DPD. We find you on this fabulous Friday. By the way, those watching on YouTube, I know, handsome. It's okay. You can leave a comment below how handsome I am. Is it too much chest hair? I mean, I feel like this is a really open collared shirt here. Those listening on Apple and Spotify, don't go over the video. I mean, you can if you want to see kind of an open chest hair look. I'm not sure. It just feels a little too open, and now I don't want to correct it. All right. With that, we get underway with the Daily Puck Drop DPD here on a Friday, June 7th. Of course, we'll quickly touch on the M's like we always do. Game one of the NBA Finals. Adam Silver had a press conference, talked about expansion. We'll get you caught up on that. I'm going to replay some audio yesterday from both Mike Garafolo and Rob Staten. Mike talking about the future of coaches in the NFL, and then Rob talking about the contract situation with DK Metcalf. John Schneider was on the Insiders show yesterday, and you already know that because Mike Garafolo told you when he was puffing on his cigar that he was going to be on the Insiders. And so we'll play a bit of audio from Schneider on the Insiders on the NFL Network. And Garafolo let us down. I mean, we supplied him with some great questions, and I'm not sure he really touched on any of them. And that's disappointing. All right. Very, very disappointing. They're from Mike Garafolo. And then when we talk to him next week, we are going to remind him how much we are disappointed in him. Not just take our advice, Garafolo. That's all you need. All right. Let's start off with the Mariners. I don't know. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. It's just he is just so damn good. Is Bryan Woo right now? 3-0 win. Aha, the under hit again. The Bet M's under summer tour continues. We are red hot. 18-16-1. Big thanks to the Tulalip Resort DraftKings Sportsbook for the total on that one. We've hit one more time on the under. We'll get to what the total is today as they start a series there with Kansas City. 36-28 on the season. They take that series against the A's. 5 games up now on Texas, 7.5 games up there on Houston. But the story is, he's just, first of all, he looks like he has been created in a lab, just how big he is. And TV honestly doesn't do it justice, just how large Bryan Woo is, especially his legs. When I was at the stadium the other day, last week, dropping off gift cards for the great Brad Adam, he's working out and he's walking back through the clubhouse, and my God, he's the tree trunk legs this guy has got, and he just looks the part. Like, walks off the bus and you go, yep, that guy is a major league starting pitcher. 3-0 now on the season. The team is undefeated in his starts, 24 strikeouts. He has 2 walks on the season, and he's only thrown 33 and a third innings. And my former coworker, soon to be co-host again, the great Jim Moore, tweeted this out yesterday and said it's kind of a sneaky pick for the Cy Young Award. Again, he is got half the innings pitched as everyone else, a little bit, well, actually more than that. But my God, if he keeps this up, I mean, at the end of the year, if he has enough innings, he's never going to have enough innings. That's the problem. He's not going to get enough innings to qualify to truly be a Cy Young Award candidate. But Jesus, man, might be the year where whoever wins it, but truly did not have the best season. So far he has been great. But 33 and 2/3 innings this year for Bryan Woo. And this is an incredible stat. Jude had this in the paper today in his recap there, the Seattle Times, which he said lowest ERA in his first 6 starts in franchise history. It has Mr. Bryan Woo. I just like playing it. I know it's annoying. Better than Randy Johnson. And Randy had an ERA of 1.21 back in that 1995 season. I love what he said, too, afterwards, just about listening and watching and under the direction of Cal Raleigh. And when I read what he said, this is exactly my first thought that came to my mind was, this is why I think he's not the best player on the team, because that's clearly Julio. But I will always maintain, and we've talked about this before, Divish and I and others, that I think he's the most important player, that being Cal Raleigh. And Woo said this about Raleigh, quote, nobody outworks him. The dude puts in more work than anybody. Again, that's why, hey, fellas, can we please just get him re-signed? I don't know why I'm whispering. We should be yelling this. Can we please, for the love of God, get Cal Raleigh inked to some long-term deal? Now, to be fair to the Mariners and to be fair to Hollander and those guys and DePoto and John Stanton, maybe they've reached out and they've turned him down, or they are not interested in talking about a deal. But I don't know. It was just the first thing that when I read that quote for Bryan Woo, nobody outworks him, and the dude puts in work, more work than anybody. And it's right. I mean, he's just solid. God, he's just solid. Stolen base yesterday, hustling home too, as well, from second to score, showing off the wheels. This team's starters are just stupid good, man. Absolutely stupid good right now. Luis Castillo, 2.99 ERA. Remember the first week of the season, or first couple of weeks, we were bitching and moaning about him. He looks great. Gilbert's got a 3.12 ERA. Got robbed the other day of a win. Miller, 3.18. Kirby still hasn't found it quite yet, and he's at 4. But he'll find it. Bryan Woo, again, as we mentioned before, 1.07. I think I saw a tweet there, too, also from Larry Stone. You take out like one bad inning, and his ERA is like half that. He's just, man, the improvement he's made, especially against left-handers, too, this year, the velocity, just everything, the way that he attacks attacks hitters, his demeanor on the mound is great. The only one thing he had, a little yesterday was a little flare-up. I still don't know why he got a pitch clock violation. I'm still baffled by that. The umpire was wiping the plate off. How do you get a pitch clock violation? He couldn't throw the ball. Still don't understand what that was all about. I don't think Woo understands it. I think the team understood what the hell was going on. Good sign there for Mitch Garver last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say. Couple of hits. Had the home run in the 9th inning. Fingers crossed he gets it going. Again, if they don't make a splash at the deadline, which I think that they will, and I'm going to be positive and hopefully that they do, this would be someone that I guess you could say is like a mid-season trade acquisition, because they need Mitch Garver to get going. It just lengthens out the lineup and makes him just more dangerous. And this is why you got him. You got him to put him in the middle of your lineup to do damage like he did yesterday. And so a good sign there for Mitch Garver. Maybe as the summer gets going, it heats up and all that kind of stuff, he gets going. Victor Robles, we got him for his defense. Okay. It's his first play out there. And don't tell me about the sun. It didn't look like he was fighting the sun at all. It just took a terrible route and went off the heel of his glove. It was terrible. You know what wasn't terrible? We're not going to focus on the Robles play. I have a good laugh with it when I made everyone mocked the signing, and the people were like, oh, you just don't understand. He's here for his defense. And then literally the first play that you've acquired him, the ball goes to him and he boots it off the heel of his glove. What was great yesterday for all you people that hate bunting, and it wasn't the greatest bunt in the world, by the way. I know Dave Sims like, oh, what a great bunt. I'm like, not really. And he popped it up. The third baseman was playing better or had anticipated it more. He would have caught it. But Ryan Bliss got it down. I love small ball. I'm a big small ball guy. It's just, I mean, look at me. You can tell I love small ball. Third inning bunt gets it down. It leads, it should have been a bigger inning, but it leads to a sacrifice fly there for Dylan Moore. Just little things that still need to be executed in baseball. And I just think that's a play. And a guy like Ryan Bliss, I mean, my God, he is on the team for several reasons. One would be a situation like that in base running. And I go back to, the game the other day with Scott Service. I mean, I think single-handedly had the most blamed for that loss the other day because of the way he managed that game late. Bullpen sharp again. It is a really cool stat that I didn't know until I think it was Div pointed this out on our last show. Their bullpen has pitched the least. Like, we have complained about the bullpen, the overuse, and really, I think when we talk about the overuse, we talk about the overuse of Munoz, but they have pitched the least amount of innings in the American League. Now, that's because their starters have been so good, but 189 and a third innings, least amount in the American League. So they haven't really overused him. I do think that they've had the potential to overuse Munoz, and so that's something they've got to keep an eye on. But there could be relief help coming soon. We'll get to that. But real quick on the Bet M's under summer tour, again, 18, 16, and 1. Use the DraftKings Sportsbook app for all the totals. The total tonight, because you got Bryce Miller against Daniel Lynch, game 1 of that series against Kansas City. The total's 8.5. Good gravy. Under City. Bet the under. And I was at the boxcar last night in Magnolia, and a couple of guys there were telling me not only they listen to the show, so shout out to those at the boxcar that listen to the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. You know who you are. Thank you so much for your support. They say not only are we betting on the under of the total, we also are betting on the opposing pitcher or the pitching staff for strikeouts against the Mariners. So they're double dipping, which is fantastic. We might have to add that in to the arsenal here the rest of the summer. The under, and then the amount of strikeouts that the Mariners offense has. But the total tonight, 8.5. Take the under. Again, Bet M's under summer tour continues. We're 18, 16, and 1. Okay, so Munoz, it sounds like he's okay. You know, MRI came back and seems like he's been dealing with the back, but he'll be fine. I mentioned it looks like bullpen help could be on the way. Santos is with the team, threw off the mound. Apparently he's getting closer to returning, coming in sometime in July. We told you about, I didn't tell you anything, my bad. Divish has been telling you about this guy named Logan Evans, who's down in Arkansas, who's a starter who they want to convert and have now converted to a reliever, like they did with Edwin Diaz and like they did with Matt Brash. Adam Jude wrote a piece on him today detailing that transition. Again, he's a starter, 12th round pick, 2023 out of the University of Pittsburgh, 5-2 with a 1.23 ERA. He's got a batting average against of 190, 47 strikeouts, and 16 walks. Just made his first relief appearance back on Tuesday after he had a conversation a few weeks ago, or about a month ago or so, with Jerry DiPoto, where DiPoto laid out the plan for him. Hey, how would you like to pitch in the big leagues? He's like, yeah, well, sure, no problem. I'll do whatever you want. So on Wednesday's show, I asked Divish, who has brought up Logan Evans' name a lot in the last month or so, talking about an option for bullpen help. Just who is he? What does he have? What should Mariner fans expect from Logan Evans?
But they're probably one of their better pitching prospects. Had his first relief appearance the other day. They're doing the Edwin Diaz transition where you kind of go slow and build it up and get him used to. Because a big part of like that is understanding your warm-up routine and how to bounce back and how to take care of your arm. So I'm thinking it'll be 2 to 3 weeks of this. I think Diaz, it was 3 weeks or so. And then you could see Logan Evans in the big leagues if he has success, because what they feel like is this is a guy that can touch 98 miles per hour pretty consistently when he's starting. So they feel like if, hey, we use him in one inning, pumping 100, and he's got a really good slider. So that's been kind of the plan. It doesn't mean that he'll be a reliever forever, but it's similar to it's kind of what they saw with Matt Brash. It's like, okay, this is really nasty. Let's just use him for one inning and see if he can help us. So
we'll see. We'll see what that's going to be the goal right now for Logan Evans. They need help in the bullpen, a guy that can touch 98, 99 miles an hour with his four-seam fastball. So now if you throw him in a reliever role, he obviously, I don't know, maybe he can touch even a little bit higher than that. At least be more consistent at that in those relief appearances. I hope that look at his numbers. I mean, 47 strikeouts, 16 walks, batting average against 190 in that league too, 5-2. I think for his sake, obviously he wants to break in the big leagues. And we talked about this on Wednesday's show with Divish, that, the long-term thing for him would be, and financially speaking for him, would be to remain as a starter. But, he wants to break in the big leagues and I like the quote, I want to help the team any way I can. And if I can come and help the team right now, I'll do it. But for him, his greatest value will be as a starter, and maybe for the team, down the road, the greatest value for him will be a starter. You do see examples of guys that are starters, then turn relievers, go back to starters. But as we discussed, and we'll discuss it again today when we talk to Divish, with that being released later today, is that generally when this happens, they kind of stay relievers. But, financially, you do take a little bit of a hit when you do this. But I'm excited to see him. They need some help in that bullpen. And it would be a guy that they'll bring into their bullpen with not, a lot of, zero track record in the big leagues, but with a bunch of hitters, unfamiliar there with his arsenal. More with Divish coming up on today's show that will be released at about 1 o'clock here on pucksports.com. More on the plan there for Logan Evans. All right. Game 1 of the NBA Finals in the books yesterday. Boy, that was a snooze fest. That sucked. I was really excited to watch Game 1 of this Finals. I thought it had a chance, and still I do believe it's got a chance to be a good Finals, but not an indication last night. That was terrible. I mean, Boston just ran them off the floor. And if Boston is clicking like that offensively with everyone moving the ball, sharing the ball, I mean, that passing was exquisite yesterday. There's always this term. We had a basketball coach who used to always say this: don't let the ball get sticky. Just meaning don't, move the ball fast. You catch it, move the ball to the open spot. And don't let it get sticky in your hands. And boy, they did not let it get sticky in their hands. They were just boom, boom. That was all over the place. Dallas's head was spinning. And Dallas has got a good defensive team. And the reason they're in the NBA Finals is the turnaround that they made defensively. They looked slow. They looked unathletic. And Boston was just all over the place. And you look at Porzingis, the original unicorn, the original Victor Wembanyama. My God, if Porzingis plays like that, and they had him coming off the bench, he plays like that the rest of the series, they'll sweep him. I mean, it won't even be a contest. But that was a clinic of offensive basketball last night there for the Boston Celtics. And so we'll see if the Mavericks can recover there in Game 2. They just looked slow. Kyrie Irving looked nervous. No doubt that he would be a little bit gun shy going back there of everything that happened when he was in Boston. He's done everything right. He said all the right things and everything, but he just looked, he just didn't look, he just looked nervous. He looked nervous going out there, and I'd be nervous too. You go back to a place that you used to work at and, you had such a bad relationship with, and he just, he didn't look comfortable out there. The big news coming out of yesterday, though, Adam Silver had his press conference, and the man needs to eat some food. I swear to God, he's getting skinnier and looks more sick every day. I hope there's nothing wrong with him. He just doesn't look good, like at all. Like, can he take some of my fat and can we put it on to him and get him like I don't know if he needs to go to one of those tanning beds or something. Just, I don't know, some color, some food, high carb diet, just something for Adam Silver. But he was talking about now they got through the collective bargaining. They have not signed, sealed, and delivered, but they basically have signed, sealed, and delivered the television deal, which apparently now includes an option for TNT to be more a part of it. So that's great news. I think a smaller part, but hey, whatever. Just don't lose those guys. And whatever happens, don't lose anybody. Like if go to Amazon, hell, go to ESPN if you want. Just don't lose the inside the NBA crew. But he also then said, hey, once we get through that, now we turn our attention to expansion. So this was Adam Silver yesterday talking about the league now expanding.
I think I said a few years ago, collective bargaining agreement, new media deals, then we would turn to expansion. So we got part 1 done clearly. And thank you to the Players Association. We're very happy. I think both sides are with our new collective bargaining agreement. Media deals, it's been a long process. It's ongoing, and we hope to wrap it up, in the relative near term. And then we will turn to expansion. But by turning to expansion, it doesn't mean that we're going to announce that now we're ready to add teams. It means that There'll be a committee of NBA governors that will focus on it. There's clearly markets out there that are very interested, and we'll run through a process. But I actually am looking forward to that. I think that the league, it's not preordained that we will expand this time, but I know there's an enormous amount of interest out there. And to me, yes, there are wealthy individuals, institutions that would like to invest and buy NBA teams, but I think it's on the league to look holistically, because there's the dilution, of course. Let's just say we're expanding by 2 teams. What does that mean for talent? I feel great about where the talent is right now in the league, but those players have to come from somewhere. If you add 2 teams, how does it work geographically? What will it mean for growing the game? And so I'm actually very excited about turning to that process. But first, we just got to be finished with the media deal.
And the media deal will get wrapped up soon. I did find a little bit of interest kind of at the end there. If we expand by 2, I would file that one away. If we expand by 2. Now, if you're going to ask about the audio quality there, listen, it's taken off someone's phone, because that was like the best one we could find. All right. So leave us alone here at pucksports.com and our crew of millions that work behind the scenes, you son of a guns. But I don't know. I'm just going to file that one away. If we expand by 2, maybe it's not a foregone conclusion they expand by 2. As far as I know, they have not done anything. This is the thing that I don't like being tied with Vegas, and why Seattle shouldn't be tied with Vegas. They haven't even broken ground on the thing. I don't even think they've gotten, for those who don't know, they want to build another arena in Vegas. And it's by Lewicki and his crew. It's OVG. So they want to build another one there. And last check, I don't even think they've gone through the review process. Like, it hasn't even been green lighted. Who knows how long this thing is going to take to get a. I mean, first of all, I don't know why they need a new arena there. They don't, other than they just want to own it. But God, I hope Seattle is not tied to Vegas. That's the one thing that's going to really irritate the shit out of me, is if we are somehow have to be tied to them, and then we're delayed because they're delayed. Because it doesn't seem like, well, they're not going to go next year, but 25, 26, maybe, that's what I'm kind of always think. I've always thought 25, 26. Others have thought 26, 27, but I've got 25, 26 circled, and that's just me being optimistic. But God, who knows with the situation Vegas is in? I don't know. Just circle that. Maybe it means nothing, but maybe there's something. Maybe they would expand. I mean, they did it in hockey, right? They expanded and had an unbalanced league before Seattle joined. They were at 31 teams, and they're fine. Hell, the NBA was unbalanced for a period of time with the Hornets and that whole mess that they had. So it's been done before, and they can do it, and they can make it work. They make anything work. But I'd like to see it sooner rather than later. I don't want to wait anymore. I don't think neither does anyone in this town want to wait. But I said, I'm kind of laughing when I said, it's not a foregone conclusion, we'll expand. Yes, it is. It's a foregone conclusion. They are expanding. The Kraken and their ownership group, they have dissolved roles now. Samantha Holloway, when we were doing the radio show, she even told us, I'm literally in charge of the NBA side of things. Their communications people are now starting to form like a different group, branching or distancing themselves from the Kraken, creating this new communications group. Oh, I don't know. Who's that for? For the NBA. So it's going to happen. Seattle is going to guaranteed get a team. There is zero doubt about it. They built the arena for it. They need an NBA team there to pay the thing off. So it's going to happen. So, and it should, I don't know. I mean, everyone's been saying at the end of this year that we should have an announcement about it. And that would be great. I'd love sometime in the fall. Hey, we're announcing it, and it's for next season. That's what I'm hoping for, and I've got my fingers crossed. All right, hey, real quick, in case you missed it yesterday, Mike Garafolo and the future of college coaches headed to the NFL. If you missed that show yesterday with Mike Garafolo, which is brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance and Zogs on Fox Island. That's my radio slash commercial voiceover guy. I thought it was really interesting what he said just about the future of certain college coaches, whether or not they're going to jump to the NFL soon.
Yeah, I mean, these are the guys that we'd be watching. Lincoln Riley's been long rumored, so you wonder if and when that jump is going to happen. Franklin doesn't strike me. Franklin strikes me as a college guy, right? Like that just feels like you're in the right place, or the way that he approaches and does things would translate to the NFL. I just get that.
And the reason we brought it up is because of the Dan Hurley to the Lakers. We have seen Jim Harbaugh now jump from Michigan to the NFL. I think you saw Chip Kelly. He wanted to go to the NFL. He wanted to go to Seattle. He wanted to be an offensive coordinator there. He wanted to be an offensive coordinator in Washington. Then you saw Chip Kelly jump from a head coaching job at UCLA to being an offensive coordinator at Ohio State. So, will we see this next wave of coaches jump in? The NFL needs an infusion of talent at some point for coaches and different minds. So, can you see a Ryan Day jumping soon? Yeah. I think a Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Absolutely. Absolutely can see Marcus Freeman jumping. I don't think Steve Sarkisian. If Steve Sarkisian has any amount of success, I think Steve Sarkisian jumps. Guys, I've heard Dabo Sweeney's name been mentioned. I just don't see Dabo Sweeney ever being able to work in the NFL. But that's just me. He comes across as a college guy. It's kind of the same feeling I have about Jake Dickert. Now, I'm not putting Jake Dickert in the category of those guys, right? But he just feels like a college guy. Jed Fish at Washington. I think Jed Fish. I think all these guys have a desire to be a head coach in the NFL. Even Dickert. Jed Fish comes across, as an NFL coach, right? He's modeled his entire system at Washington NFL based. I think if an opportunity presents himself, he has a great season at Washington this year or for 2 years, I think, and an opportunity comes up in the NFL, he's jumping at it. He was college buddies with Jeffrey Lurie. We've talked about this before. Not Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, who was the GM of the Eagles. That job comes up. Roseman, if he looks at him and goes, well, you've had success, let's bring you to the NFL. Kalen DeBoer, we also talked about that with Garofolo. I think if Kalen DeBoer has success at Alabama, I think it's the pinnacle of their job, and I think they want to jump. I think you're going to just see more and more coaches do this because I think the way that college football is right now and how you just got to do so much crap. It's just not coaching anymore. You got a bigger roster. You got to deal with scholarships. You got to deal with the portal. All this until they regulate it, it's a madhouse. NFL's way easier to deal with. So that was Garofolo on Thursday's show. Go check it out. Pucksports.com, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Also, on the show yesterday was Rob Staten from SeahawksDraftBlog.com. And we were talking to Rob about DK Metcalf and what the contract of Justin Jefferson will mean for DK. And how much does DK have to prove going into next season? I think he's got a ton to prove. And Rob kind of talked about that yesterday.
If I had to predict what I think happens right now, Puck, I think DK Metcalf will play very well in this scheme, but not well enough to justify a Justin Jefferson-style contract. And that means that next offseason, the big talking point that we'll be having as Seahawks fans, aside from perhaps what the future is at quarterback, is going to be what do they do with DK Metcalf? Do they trade him? Do they keep him? Or do they re-sign him? I think that's going to be that is a huge storyline.
And I agree with Rob. By the way, I always like the way he says puck. I don't know if that anybody else gets that. And then when you see it on the AI, like when we do the little video clips and the AI pulls it, it's always P-U-K. I don't know. It's just, I like the way he says it. I'm actually going to isolate it at some point and just keep playing it over and over again and annoy all of you. I think it's a huge year for DK. I think it's a massive year for him. I don't want them to move him. I don't want to trade him. I think there's some growing up he needs to do. As I said to Rob yesterday, I think it's going to be interesting the first time, because he's going to have it, the first time he has one of those DK sideline episodes. How does Mike McDonald handle it? I think Mike McDonald is going to handle it different than Pete Carroll. He is a freak of an athlete, and he's an incredible wide receiver as well. He has not been utilized the way that he should be utilized. And if there's someone that's going to be able to do it, Ryan Grubb's got a chance to make DK Metcalf a lot of money. And I would say if DK can't fulfill his entire talent tree with Ryan Grubb, then I think it's ultimately on DK Metcalf. But I think Ryan Grubb is going to do everything. This is the best offensive coordinator that he will have played for in his NFL career, and probably, well, not probably, I guaranteed, in his entire football career, in terms of just a mastermind of scheming and getting players in the right spot. You sit there and watched it for 2 years at Washington. But I would even go back to the time at Fresno State and how good they were offensively. It's Ryan Grubbs right there, Kalen DeBoer's right-hand man. So I think it's a huge season for DK Metcalf. I do believe he's going to have a monster season because I think Ryan Grubb I think this is what made the job attractive to him. I think Grubb looks at this trio of wide receivers and goes, goodness, as long as Geno has time to throw, we'll get these guys open all over the place. And DK is not going to just be sit there on the outside and run a go route every time, is what it felt like with the previous offensive coordinators. I'm excited for it. I've maintained this many, many times before. It's a broken record. I keep saying it over and over again. I'm excited about Mike McDonald, but I am just really excited to see what Ryan Grubb can do with this offense. And I think some of the skilled playmakers that he has. All right, John Schneider was on the Insiders yesterday on the NFL Network, because you know that because Mike Garafolo told us he was going to be on. And then we peppered him with a bunch of questions. And I don't think he asked a single one of them. Why'd you fire Pete Carroll? What the hell's your fascination with Jamal Adams? And why didn't you move up to get Michael Penix? But they did talk yesterday, John Schneider on the Insiders with our guy Mike Garafolo. Almost forgot his name. Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. Sorry, Mike. And they talked about not Michael Penix, but his thoughts on the acquisition of Sam Howell.
He's an impressive guy, worked his tail off, and really like Sam's upside a lot. He started 18 games, and he's been a productive player in this league, and we like his toughness and his swag.
So that's his thoughts on Sam Howell. Go check it out. It's up on the NFL Network site. It's also just on X. You can find it, NFL Insiders. It's only like 3.5 minutes long. John Schneider with those guys on the program, which airs every night, Monday through Friday, 4:00. The Insiders on the NFL Network with our guy Garafolo, Ian Rappaport, and Tom Pelissero. They made a Sam Howell. We'll see what happens with him. I mean, it's clearly Geno Smith's job, but going into training camp, maybe something happens to Geno. Maybe Sam Howell impresses. I don't know. They like him. They went and traded for him. There is a fascination with Sam Howell, and I thought when Sam Howell came in here last year, there was some things that you like about him, and maybe, just maybe, he is the future quarterback on this team. Next year's draft class doesn't seem all that strong, and so you're kind of fingers crossed that he's the guy. We'll see. We'll see how he performs here in this offense. They did sign another quarterback yesterday. That was P.J. Walker. You remember P.J. Walker came into Seattle last year, damn near led the Browns to a victory over Seattle. Do you remember the single best play in that game, though? Do you remember the play that sealed that game for the Seahawks? And the guy, he took credit for it. The ball bouncing off the face mask or the helmet of Jamal Adams on a blitz and then into the arms, I believe it was Julian Love for the interception. Jamal Adams just made a play. Went off your helmet. P.J. Walker signed yesterday, so they have a third quarterback, finally. That's good stuff. Mandatory minicamp is next week there for the Seahawks. And so we'll see all these guys there in action. A quick reminder coming up on today's show. It's Friday, so we'll get another appearance from Ryan Divish, brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Also, our weekly chat, which goes everywhere, with Chris Egan, brought to you by Fat Zach's Pizza. So stay tuned to those episodes being released later today here, pucksports.com. Also, YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music. Also, by the way, another great platform, especially for you Android users. Hey, what the puck? Weird story. Apparently, there's a bunch of these rich people that are using, because they don't like their kids going to summer camp and their clothes coming back smelly. So there's a group of these posh parents who are paying almost $500 to this group called the First Class Laundry Service, $450 to do the cleaning service for when their kids come back from summer camp. It's a pickup and drop off. And there was a story that was in the Wall Street Journal about it. Also, the West Palm Beach, the story did it as well. Or it's the Business in West Palm Beach. They were like, hey, it's just disgusting, and we don't want to deal with it. And the owner of the First Class Laundry, a woman named by Natalie Mattis, said, if you have disposable income, you don't want to touch it, you're sending it out. And she said, a lot of my clients don't even let their housekeepers touch it. Jesus. Come on. It's just clothes from summer camp. You can't clean the clothes yourself, for God's sakes. But to her point, if you do have disposable income, why not? And you don't care about it, and you're just like, just do whatever you want with it. I don't want to deal with it. It gets you to start thinking, if you just had like rich people like this, right? Okay. Rich people like this. How much money are you willing to spend on something that you don't like doing? Like this also, there is a group out there who not only do these posh parents don't want to clean the clothes after they get back from camp, they don't even want to pack the clothes. So they hire a service, a third-party service, which is in New York and Florida, right? And they call them camp appointments, and parents spend between $1,500 and $2,000 ahead of camp. So the people come in there and they pack and get the kids organized for their summer camp. So you don't have to do anything. Again, you and I, not in our wheelhouse. But if you have disposable income and you're like, I don't want to do it, here you go. I can think of one thing, if I had disposable income, that I would pay for. And I think a lot of people would pay for it. Folding clothes. If I could pay somebody to come to our house every other day and we had disposable income to fold clothes and then put the clothes away, I don't know. There's a good amount of money I think I would spend on said service. All right. For someone just to come to my house, fold them nicely, and then not what we do, put them in the basket and then just sits at the top of the stairs for another week. And then the kids pick out of those clothes, throw those everywhere, and then you got to refold them. So if I had disposable income, yes, I'm lazy, I would hire someone to fold clothes. What about you? There has to be something. Dishes, putting the dishes away. I hate that too. Putting the dishes in the dishwasher, which I'm terrible at. Washing dishes, there's got to be something. Picking up after your dog outside. Actually, there is a business for that, by the way. Someone comes to your house and I think picks up dog poop. It's just ridiculous. Last thing on Hey, What the Puck? And I'll have a full recap on Monday about this. I might have to whisper. I think she's out of the house now. But the 15-year-old daughter is going to her first party this weekend. Apparently at some kid's house. I don't know if the parents are home or not. And I don't know if it's one of these parents that it's like, hey, if you're going to go out and party, I'd rather you guys do it under our watch. I'm assuming there's going to be booze there. I don't know. But, and everybody did you have that parent or that friend that had parents that said, hey, if you're going to go out and party, I'd rather you not go to the park. I'd rather you come to our house and do it under our watch. I had several buddies like that had parents like that. I always thought it was weird, but whatever. Not my life. So the first party, and she's like, it doesn't start until 9:30. I'm like, Jesus, 9:30? So what's the curfew? 15. See, I want to say 11, but that's an hour and a half. She can't be that kid, right? Midnight? What do you think the curfew should be? Midnight for a party that starts at 9:30? And if the party starts at 9:30, she can't really show up there till 10, though. God, that seems late. Kind of like an early bird special, right? Start the party at 6 and then be done with it. We'll give you a full recap on Monday's show. Again, a reminder, Divish coming up today on the show. We'll release it later today, pucksports.com. Also on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all of it, all the good spots. Also, Chris Egan as well. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thanks always for watching and supporting and listening. It means the world. All the comments, too. Thank you so much. I think I'll try to do this every Friday to be so thankful and grateful to all of you that watch and listen. It's amazing and it's fun. Love doing it. I hope you guys like all the products and the product. I hope you guys like all the content. And as always, if you just want to send any feedback, We're open ears over here at pucksports.com. We'll talk to you Monday. As always, we promise to be better.